For 30 days, Muslims around the world will give up earthly pleasures, focus on prayer, and read the Quran, all in celebration of the holy holiday of Ramadan. Gathering in mosques worldwide, the over 1.8 billion people of the Islamic faith will come together in worship and service to their community. But in the wake of the Christchurch mosque attack that took the lives of some 51 people in March, what precautions might the community be taking this holiday? And what can we do to support them? Here to talk with us about this holy month is Sheikh Fayez Jaffer, Associate Chaplain at New York University's Global Center of Spiritual Life. It's a delight to have you here with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm going to ask you to assume your role of professor here and to teach some of us the significance and the meaning of some of these events. So let's start with Ramadan. What is the significance of the holy period of Ramadan?
Yeah, absolutely. The month of Ramadan is the 9th month in the Islamic calendar, and it's a month of real observance of the Islamic tradition by means of abstaining from food and drink, by means of devotion and submission to God, by numerous rituals, including that of prayer, recitation of the Quran. It really allows for us to recenter and refocus ourselves because life is filled with so many distractions, so many ups and downs. And during the course of these 30 days, we really strive toward allowing for our hearts toward connecting toward things which are far more valuable than food and drink. And that, of course, is connecting with our morality and really focusing on themes like that of mercy and patience and compassion and generosity. And once in a while, we kind of need certain things to recenter us in life because of just how busy things get. And so the month of Ramadan is really an opportunity to do just that.
Fasting, as you mentioned, is a significant part of that period of reflection and prayer. What is the role that fasting plays?
Yeah, usually usually the first thought that comes to people's minds when they hear the word Ramadan is certainly fasting. Right. And right now, the month of Ramadan is really close toward the summer period, where we're fasting for upwards of 17 hours, abstaining from food and drink. And many people, they wonder, like, why? Or, does that even mean fasting from water? And yeah, it does mean that.
It does mean that. And give me the parameters. The time?
Yeah, so the time of fasting is a little bit prior to dawn until soon after sunset. Mm-hmm. So we're talking approximately from 4 a.m. to a little bit after 8 p.m. Right. And it's incredibly challenging and incredibly difficult. But again, what it really allows for us to do, and that's like really the crux of the fast, is for us to marginalize and isolate so many distractions in life. If you think about kind of like how our days go, the first thing that we think about in the morning is, where am I going to get my first cup of coffee? Similarly, we think about
what am I having for lunch?
What am I having for lunch? Where am I going out for dinner, right? And you're walking down the street and there's a million coffee shops in New York City and your mind is directed for you to just walk in, grab a cup, walk back out. But over here, you know that you have to abstain from all of that. And that really channels the one who is observing the fast to really allow for themselves to focus on that, which is hopefully a little bit more important,
Just stripping away those distractions.
Stripping away those distractions.
Allow you to become centered.
Exactly.
Become part of your beliefs and contemplate your beliefs.
Yeah, so much of it is, reflection, contemplation, meditation. It allows for a sense of real mindfulness because you become really cognizant of why it is that you're doing what it is that you're doing. If I was just, really hungry because I missed my lunch break, I'm going to be in a really bad mood, right? And I'm going to be really upset and my head is going to start to hurt. But because I know that I'm doing it for God's sake, I'm doing it to observe my tradition, I'm doing it to recenter myself, those distractions don't always pop up in my head. And then again, we think about that which is more important than food and drink.
I think what's illuminating about how you've described it here is some people might misinterpret to think it's some sort of a self-punishment. You're depriving yourself of these things. But as you said, it's very different from that.
No, it's absolutely not, definitely not depriving us and not a sense of self-punishment. Again, it just really offers us an opportunity to refocus, I would say. Probably us living in this society of like overconsumption is really punishing us. Mm-hmm. And this sort of allows for us to hit the reset button and really sort of, rethink about how we engage life.
And talk a little bit about breaking the fast, because it's not just a matter of, okay, now I can grab something to eat. Mm-hmm. There's more of the part of the religious celebration to the breaking of the fast.
Yeah, many people, they think that the month of Ramadan is a really depressing time for Muslims where we just kind of stare at a wall all day. And I used to hear these things growing up all the time. And unfortunately, that's due to like a lot of ignorance. But really, the month of Ramadan is incredibly festive. And the breaking of the fast really is a microcosm of that festivity. Where oftentimes you don't just break your fast on your own, but you go to like a local Islamic center, you do it with your family, you do it with community, you do it with the friends who you haven't seen for a really long time. And people gather together and they eat, they drink, they like share certain experiences. And it becomes like there's a real communal atmosphere to the breaking of the fast every evening. And it's a really wonderful time.
I think it's important, for people who are not familiar with the faith to realize that it's a period of celebration.
Oh, absolutely.
And introspection, reflection, but celebration. Which leads me to the difficult question, which is on the heels of the terrible events in New Zealand, what sort of impact do you think those events are going to have or would have on the period of time of Ramadan?
Yeah, I mean, the last 2.5 years has been incredibly trying for the Muslim community in the United States and really across the world due to a whole host and spate of attacks and political rhetoric and semantics, and not only for the Muslim community, but really religious communities, all across this country. And, in the wake of the attacks that took place in New Zealand in March that killed, more than 50 people, many religious spaces are actually seeing an increase in the number of people who are attending. And I think that really shows and demonstrates like this notion of resilience, that as much as, white supremacy wanted to isolate Muslims from embracing their faith and embracing their ideology, what you're finding is that people are coming out in significant numbers these days. And I'm sure as the month of Ramadan continues over the next couple of weeks, we're going to see those numbers significantly be on the uptick. And a lot of people just are sort of really rallying around this notion of embracement of one's identity, irregardless of sort of all of the rhetoric and the potential for violence. That's not to say that not many Islamic centers and mosques are not taking the necessary prerequisites and measures. There are many communities that are, hiring certain security task force to really patrol the center. Otherwise, members of the local community are just standing outside and just sort of checking in on folks.
Just being vigilant.
Just being vigilant, yeah.
Well, I can tell you, we all know that a cornerstone of tolerance is understanding.
Absolutely.
And certainly you've helped us to understand the month and the celebration and the significance of all that. So you've done a marvelous job in your role as a teacher.
I appreciate that.
To make it understandable. We appreciate you spending some time with us.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Take care.